Good morning, everyone. I don't know how I followed that. Rabbi, I feel the same way, and I'm blown away. So I'm going to try and speak, but that one got me a little choked up. So good morning, everyone. As I said, Rabbi, Laura, fellow congregants, it's an interesting year. Having to do this streaming and not seeing all of you here, very different. But 5781 is here, and I think we can all agree that we're all hoping for the new year to deliver an end to the challenges of the last 7 months and hopefully a healthy new year. Often a synagogue president makes a high holiday appeal for funds. I'll keep this part of my talk to a bare minimum. As you all know, Rabbi inspired and led us to already pledge and pay down a major portion of the synagogue's mortgage. With your help, either to continue to pay the pledges already made or by committing to help in this initiative, the mortgage will be retired in the next 24 months. I'm always amazed by the generosity of so many of the people I've met here at Bethel. But the success those people realize in life is not unrelated to their generous natures. The common belief that once successful you can then give is, in my humble opinion, backward. I truly believe that giving is what actually can help breed success and happiness along the way. This is not something I've gleaned from reading or teaching, although it has been written about. I've simply seen dozens of examples of the most generous people giving and how that changed the person and made them more receptive to opportunities and growth and happiness in their own life. Don't take my word. Look around you for examples. Thank you for all of what you have done. Thank you for all of what you will do in the future. I'm inspired and forever grateful for the generosity of the people I've met at Bethel. I want to express my thanks on this day to all those who make Bethel the amazing home for Jewish worship. I don't want to confuse that again with what everybody else says about their synagogue, which is a house of worship. We're a home. At the beaches and more. I want to thank Rabbi Matchison for not just teaching us, but inspiring us and leading by personal example. I'd like to thank Rabbi for being willing to be flexible during these trying times, to do new things like Zoom Shabbat services and our streaming services that we're doing today and throughout the high holidays. I'd like to thank our worship chair, Neil Goldman, for being there every Friday and Saturday with me, masked, to bring these wonderful services to our members that mean so much. It's been an amazing experience. I want to thank our reopening committee that works to make sure that when we do open back up, we do it safely. I want to thank the volunteers last night, today, and in the future who are manning the cameras that are helping to get this meaningful service into everyone's homes. I'd like to thank member David Zuckerman and his team for helping us do this in such a professional way that I hope the full meaning and spirit of the holidays reaches all of us. I'd like to thank last year's board for all the hard work they put in that got us to this point. And I'd also like to thank all those on our new board, and especially new members who have stepped up to fill key positions on the board. We recently installed a new vice president and new secretary. Thank you to Lori Simmons for bringing her beautiful voice to our Shabbat services, holidays, and now our high holiday services. I'd like to thank Elise in our synagogue office for keeping all the gears running smoothly and always being there to help our members as needed. Thank you to Vicki and all our religious school teachers for working with our children to teach them so much and prepare them to become a bar or bat mitzvah and to have a meaningful life. I'd like to thank the Brotherhood and Sisterhood for all they do to enrich our synagogue and for all the volunteering they do to support Bethel in so many ways. We will have a new membership chair starting shortly, and 5781 is going to be a great year. Bethel is in the best shape it's ever been in, both financially and in terms of the amazing people who are working to make it so. I hope you'll consider helping us to do even more. I'd also like to ask you to thank folks who create events or help you. Many people are doing tremendous amounts of work for all of our benefit, Thank yous make it all become worthwhile. I'd like to discuss why I think Bethel is different than other organizations you may be involved with. This is our home for Jewish worship. In today's world, many people question so many of their beliefs. Surveys show that many people, including Jews, have serious questions as to whether God exists. I'd like to share two stories. I said to myself I wasn't going to do it like this, but it's coming anyway. Two stories of when my belief in God was confirmed. 37 years ago, my mother was in a New York City hospital suffering from terminal cancer. She fought a long, hard battle. She was feeling guilty, if you can believe that, about not being able to be there for my sister and me in the future. One night in the hospital, I walked into her room and I sneezed. My mom said nothing. It might have been the most shocking event of my life. For those that grew up with a very typical Jewish mother, her not saying anything blew me away. No question as to my health status, no God bless you, nothing. I looked at my mother and she stared blankly back at me. She had become non-responsive. The doctors came to the room and told my dad and me that my mom had dissolved calcium in her body from the bone cancer, and it was clouding her brain, and that she would likely not regain her faculties so we could start saying goodbye whenever we were ready. I was 19. I didn't know what to do. I went down the hall to a small prayer room they had on each floor of the hospital. I prayed to God to give me just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes with my mom. I knew that the doctor told me I'd never talk to her again, but I was truly praying and pleading for just those minutes. When I went back to the hospital room, a new doctor arrived that we had never seen before. He wasn't part of the hospital staff. He was part of some experimental drug program. He introduced himself and asked my dad if we'd be willing to let them give my mom an experimental new drug that cleansed calcium from the blood system. My dad okayed this. We really didn't have a choice. A short while later, my mom regained full consciousness, and we actually had a few days of being able to talk about everything in the world. When we say, my cup overflows, or the older translation, my cup runneth over, I have to tell you, in my life, this was an example of that. I asked for 5 minutes, and I got a miracle of multiple days. I guess it's like a mini Hanukkah. My mom was able to share her hopes and dreams for my future, her future she full well knows she would never see. I don't know for sure why that doctor showed up with that experimental drug that particular day at that particular hospital and found my mom, but I know what I believe. Some would say the doctor used science and it was totally understandable and unrelated to my praying. I respectfully disagree. Who inspired the doctors to invent the drug? Who brought that doctor right when my mom needed him? My belief in the Almighty was confirmed solidly. One more, and I hope I can get through this one. My wife and I lost a child. Sitting in the hospital in New Jersey that day was certainly the hardest day either of us had ever encountered in our lives. Nothing could prepare us for that grief. While sitting in the hospital, an older gentleman showed up and said he represented the East Tremont Benevolent Society. I guess they had been founded in East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx years ago. The charity was financed through the generosity of Jews donating long before I was even born. The man told me how they would pay for the funeral and all other costs surrounding the death of our son and handle all the arrangements. My question to him was, how can I repay you? He told me, just help someone sometime that's in need, and we're all good. I looked into this kind man's eyes, and I didn't see his eyes. I felt like he was sent by God to comfort us that day. It was just more evidence in my mind for my beliefs. The charity was performing mitzvot that are a part of our religion, and what an amazing religion it is. I think it's important that we share why we believe, with our kids, and even our friends. If our only answer is our parents told us to believe, it's not the most compelling argument and it won't last. When I see how the people of Bethel come together, my beliefs are further strengthened. Our spiritual community is very important. It's important to the families who come to celebrate a bar or bat mitzvah. It's important when we come together to worship. When I see the look on the face of the bereaved among us, when Rabbi guides them spiritually, and our members reach out to comfort them. There are so many miracles happening around me, I can't help but believe. I hope we will look at all the amazing ways Bethel touches our lives and realize what lies at the core of all we do. Our world is filled with so many organizations that try to divide and exclude people. Bethel represents inclusion. Many organizations try to claim they are better than others. We try to better Bethel and our members. There are many ways to buy experiences. Bethel creates experiences that can only be described as miracles that can be shared and relived for a lifetime. Bethel is not a vicarious experience like a movie, a football game, or any other paid-for event where you're just a spectator. Please don't live your life as a spectator. Come to Bethel and experience the real joy of living events yourself. Our religion teaches us to perform 613 mitzvot, some of the most amazing insights into how to live a full life, to really experience the amazing life we have been given, or to share in these mitzvot. What an amazing tradition that commands us to comfort the bereaved, to celebrate with the bride and groom. Judaism taught the world how to live a fulfilling, moral, spiritual, and happy life. I want to wish you all a happy and, most importantly, a healthy new year. We need it. May you all be inscribed in the book of life. We will get back to in-person services and events, and I hope to see all of you like we used to see each other. Your synagogue family is here to help, and thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you will do. Shana Tova.